Yo, Benny! I don't think he's home, man. Benny, man, yo. Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm MC Savant from the Kankasaurs. You can catch me on funnyordie.com/Kankasaurs, K-A-N-K-S-O-R-Z, you know what I'm saying? But right now, it's all about Benny TV. Yo, because my boy Benny the Gagoots got his own show. And I just want to give a big shout out to Benny. And in honor of that, I'm going to do a dope-ass freestyle, man. So he's got to figure out what rhymes with Benny. 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 What rhymes with Benny? Benny. What rhymes with Benny? Benny. He's in the Serengeti. He's hunting for a Yeti and he's always on the ready. And Benny's always merry when he's eating his spaghetti. But right now he's in the desert, so his palms are kind of sweaty. His good friend Freddie, he brought him that Ben and Jerry. And Yetis, they love the Ben and Jerry. So Benny caught that Yeti and we all threw confetti. Yeah, Benny. Benny TV, baby.
Yeah, Benny TV, baby.
Yeah!
Of course, Ryan Rizzuti is with me, and our special guest co-host,
Extra
Kyle.
special.
Extra
Who
special.
are you?
I'm Benny Rizzuti.
Oh, you didn't say that. I thought
This
you were
is Benny TV. Benny
your last
TV.
name was
I'm Benny
television.
Rizzuti. This is Ryan Rizzuti, and this is Kyle McLaughlin. I threw in McLaughlin because I don't remember your last name.
Well, why don't you let me introduce him then, because he's my friend. This is my friend Kyle Nover. He was on about a month ago,
Yeah, about the beginning of October.
beginning of October, so a little over a month ago.
We do this thing whenever it's a holiday. I come on and we discuss
Or
it.
whenever he gets off early and the train ends up in Massapequa.
Yeah.
That's how I get him on the show, because this was not planned.
No.
But
Surprise.
Surprise to everyone, including myself.
Very cool, yes.
No, I'm very happy to have you on the show again, Kyle.
Thank you.
And a very special Thanksgiving episode tonight.
Thanksgiving. So tell me a little bit about the special Thanksgiving episode.
Tell me, you want me to talk to you about Thanksgiving?
About
So
what-
many years ago, the Pilgrims came to America,
Okay, yeah.
and John Rambo was there,
John Rambo and Spencer Tracy.
and Spencer Tracy was there,
And the Dallas Cowboys.
and the Dallas Cowboys were there.
The cheerleaders too?
Of course.
No, the cheerleaders weren't there.
Oh,
Why
no.
not?
No, women weren't invented until 1956.
Oh, my God.
That was
Anyway,
just a joke.
yeah, please don't get upset.
Don't look that up on Wikipedia.
So this is a Thanksgiving episode is what I meant. For you.
Yes, this is the Thanksgiving episode. We have a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about both me and my dad on our Facebooks took polls of what you, the fans, consider movies that you watch on Thanksgiving, what are Thanksgiving movies to you. There really aren't any actual Thanksgiving films like there are Christmas movies or Halloween films, or
There's no Thanksgiving vacation.
there's no Groundhog Day. There's no. So we got a nice mix of Thanksgiving. My thing, I said this to you, my dad wanted to do this episode of Thanksgiving, what we watch on Thanksgiving.
Right,
Most people watch football on the Thanksgiving Day parade. Those are not movies.
right. There's a lot of people that watch that, but then there are people who look forward to certain movies that they do watch. Like, I know football did not run as long back when I was younger. They didn't have the football built up to the way they do now.
Okay.
But even with us, we get together with our family, we watch some football, and then we put in a movie.
Yeah.
And one of the movies that everybody, the general consensus of the movie, I believe people like the most and associate with watching on Thanksgiving is March of the Wooden Soldiers with Laurel and Hardy, which was originally called Babes in Toyland.
Yes.
But it doesn't have much to do with the actual Babes in Toyland.
And they've done animated versions that have been called Babes in Toyland. Because I remember seeing those as a kid, Babes in Toyland, and then not realize until I was older that and March of the Wooden Soldiers was the same thing.
Yeah, similar. There's it's good to call it to make it separate, make it a separate movie of March of the Wooden Soldiers. That's a fun one that people like to watch. There's when I was younger, which isn't on the list. A lot of people didn't bring it up. So a couple of people did. King Kong, The original black and white
Kyle's
King Kong.
7th favorite movie in the world.
Okay, and they used to watch. People said they used to show the original black and white King Kong. There was a Son of Kong, which is like an hour long. It's not that great.
They made it the same year, actually.
And
as
then
the original.
what?
They made it the same year as the original King Kong.
Oh, they did.
Yeah. Very weird how they managed to pull that off. A very weird thing that we'll get into another time.
That
You
King,
made Kyle so happy that you brought up King Kong.
Oh,
King Kong had
I
a
didn't
son, but no, King Kong was big, and then
He might have had a cousin, yeah.
he had a son,
cousin of
and then
Kong.
then they would top it off with Mighty Joe Young, the original.
Nobody cares about Mighty Joe Young.
They do. The original movie is a lot of fun still to this
Nobody
day.
likes Mighty Joe Young. Nobody cares.
The remake is
it's
terrible.
the least talked about Charlize Theron movie.
No,
Bill Paxton. Bill pack us into another movie.
I'm not
Game
talking
over,
about,
man. Game over. We're not talking about Mighty
All
Joe
right.
Young.
Okay, but the black and white is a lot of fun. See it. You'll know what I mean when you.
So is
you
fly
see it.
fishing.
Okay, but then a movie that came up big. Why don't you tell me a couple of yours what were some of the movies that came up really big for you, and then
Well, there was a lot of ones. I mean, I'll talk about my personal favorites because a lot of them haven't actually come up. One for TVs and movies. I really love to watch. IFC started doing this a couple years ago. They show Trapped in the Closet, the R. Kelly album that has the most hilarious music videos. It's like this weird soap opera. They show that on IFC in its entirety, and it's like 50 episodes. They're all like 3 or 4 minutes long, and I put it on one year in Thanksgiving, and my parents almost kicked me out of the house. They're like, "What are you watching? What is this?"
we don't mind if he watches it, but don't force
I
it
wasn't
upon
forcing you to watch
But
it. I
get
just
out of
had
the
it on in the
house.
living room,
Yeah.
really loud.
I
Get
don't
out of
wanna
the house
see
if you're
it.
gonna be
Yeah, I
watching
don't want
this
to
crap.
see it.
That's great.
cool if
He's
you're gonna
upset
watch
I brought it up. I watch
No,
it every year.
I'm not. No, and I do. What do you watch every year?
Every year, for whatever reason, I watch Looney Tunes and Space Jam.
Which Space Jam is a cool movie because sometimes you like to watch movies with your family or who's in the room. Space Jam is a movie you can watch with the
Anyone.
family.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
March of the Wooden Soldiers is another one. You know, there's some, and then there's. We're going to mention a few movies later on that are more for the adult version of that my cousins and I as we got older. You know, and I'm the oldest in my mom's side of the family, so my other cousins are like 10 years younger, and so
And
I
I'm the
would
youngest
watch.
out of all of my cousins.
I would
He's
watch.
the
them.
oldest, and then I'm the youngest.
You're the yeah. Even Nick is older than you. Okay.
Why you gotta like derail everything that we're? You gotta stop everything we're doing. Like I make a joke, you just gotta derail everything and just stop and look at me like a cat. Yeah. Like a cat, and I threw a ball.
What kind of cat? Yeah.
Okay, so Thanksgiving.
All right,
movies.
Thanksgiving movies. So Space Jam is really cool. Looney Tunes, I'm always in the mood. I have a lot of Looney Tunes. Betty Boop cartoons are fun to watch. Okay? So, and there is something, I don't watch this, but it's something that, it's a Thanksgiving thing for me. Don't kill me. It's called Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie.
What? You're acting like I'm not. You're wearing the shirt.
I'm wearing the shirt. And this was the
I thought you were
concert.
dressed like a tourist. The Halloween episode was last time. Never mind.
Yeah. He was like
Anyway.
a jack-o'-lantern. A
Yeah.
big jack-o'-lantern.
Anyway, this is the shirt I bought at the concert because Arlo Guthrie has now went back
What's
to...
Alice's Restaurant, Dad?
Alice's Restaurant is a song which was made into a movie.
That's 45
But,
minutes long.
The song is 18 minutes long, and it is a comical. It is a funny song.
It is a comical.
And it takes place. It takes place on Thanksgiving, and it's a true story that Arlo Guthrie got arrested for littering on Thanksgiving, and actually makes that a comedy where he talks about littering, and then mixes it with being drafted into the Vietnam War and having to go and be drafted. Littering and drafted and Thanksgiving. Alice's Restaurant. Very
It's a
funny.
folk song.
Yeah.
It's a folk song. Arlo Guthrie, for those who don't know, his dad was Woody Guthrie.
And he got arrested for littering.
His dad wrote like 3,000 different songs. Many of you will know This Land Is Your Land. But he wrote children's
If
songs.
you went
he
to
wrote-
elementary school.
He wrote folk songs, and his son, a very talented family, the Guthrie family, and Arlo wrote this song, Alice's Restaurant, and the radio stations used to play it all the time, and you'll still probably find it on a college radio station on Thanksgiving. They play it at a certain time, and I listen to it. So, and it's fun.
He brings
It's
out the
better
old
than the
record
movie.
player every year, and he blows the dust off of it.
And I bought the DVD.
While you're
of-
eating the
I bought the
turkey.
DVD of this concert.
That's cool.
Okay, which was made for PBS. So maybe PBS might show it too.
That's cool.
Okay, so that's all I have to say about Alice's Restaurant.
I just thought of a great Thanksgiving scene from a movie in Rocky. That's a great scene.
That's actually
in that whole movie.
what I was going to get into, which is also fitting due to what we're talking about and what comes out tonight. Rocky is, to me, a quintessential Thanksgiving franchise. It's always been a
Okay.
holiday franchise, and the last 3 Rocky films have come out in the holidays. Rocky Balboa came out on Christmas, and both Creed and Creed 2 came out on Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay,
And
so
I would say there's 2 times a year to watch Rocky. It's the holiday season and it's the 4th of July.
okay, yeah, no, I
That's when you watch Rocky.
Yes.
Because for 4th of July you watch it because he ended communism in Rocky 4, which is fitting because Creed 2, he's coming back. There's Drago. He's got his son. I'm hyped. I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it 4 times. I'm going to see it 4 times.
the review.
That's like $50 that I'm just gonna hand Sylvester Stallone. Like, here you go, sir. You earned it.
and the movie's getting great critic.
getting great reviews.
Great reviews, and it's got a good cast. He was very smart. Sylvester Stallone's very smart with the movies that he does. That he
Oh, I
produces.
could do a review from a movie I saw this week. I'll save one of them in case I am on Laughter Saves Lives. I'm not sure if I'm going to be.
Yeah,
I
you
may
might
or
be.
may not be on Laughter Saves Lives
Which
tonight.
comes
at 8
right
o'clock.
after this.
So, tune in. It's a surprise. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. I saw Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald this weekend.
Yes.
I'm a very big Harry Potter fan. I wouldn't say I'm like a die-hard Harry Potter fan, but I've read most of the books.
You read most of the
I've
books.
seen every movie multiple times. My favorite is Prisoner of Azkaban. My least favorite is The Half-Blood Prince. And my second least favorite is Fantastic Beasts and The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Okay.
There's parts of it that are really good, and then there's parts of it, and this also fits because I feel like Harry Potter is also like a Thanksgiving movie.
It's a holiday
holiday
themed, yes.
themed film, and they usually would come out in the November, December time, or the summer. And they air them a lot during this time. And Fantastic Beasts is the new franchise. It's the prequels. This one feels even more like a prequel because they go to Hogwarts in this one. Jude Law plays young Dumbledore. Grindelwald, the new villain, technically the old villain because it's a prequel. It's played by Johnny Depp. It's really boring. Not a lot happens. And they go into a lot of exposition for characters and things that have no bearing on the franchise in any way, shape, or form.
Does Gryffindor win the
No,
game of
they don't.
Quidditch?
They don't show you nothing. It has nothing to do with that stuff.
Well then,
No Quidditch games?
No, it's not. They go to Hogwarts. It doesn't take place at Hogwarts. It's not
Okay.
about kids.
I'm just
It's
asking.
about Fantastic Beasts. It's not actually about Fantastic Beasts.
they accidentally just stumble through like this train wall this train platform.
They go through a wall, but no, shut up. You didn't see the movie. I saw the movie. I paid for that. I sat through that for 2 hours. It was like a new form of torture.
Really?
No, it's not that bad, but it wasn't great. There are like diehard Harry Potter fans are calling this their Star Wars prequels.
All right.
That's what
okay.
they're referring it to now as their Star Wars.
I
prequels.
could see that.
Took like what 9 movies to get there. That's impressive.
Yeah, but it's the second film in the new franchise,
Yeah, that's
so that's pretty bad. That it
You know,
and 10 films, because they had not. Cause,
Oh yeah, that's right. Because of the
Because the 7th book was split into 2 movies, so there was 8 Harry Potter films.
They've gone a little carried away with you get a franchise and you think that it's a moneymaker all the time.
Well,
So
the
they
thing
keep-
with this is it's written by J.K. Rowling. She
yes.
wrote these films. It's going to be a 5-film series. She's writing this as opposed to making the books and then having them adapted. She's writing the movies. I think that's the biggest issue with it, is the fact that she didn't write them as books first. Because I think she still has the sensibilities as an author and doesn't really know how to trim the fat for a film, where she adds way too much stuff in, so it just feels really bloated and kind of gets dragged down.
So as a screenwriter, she's not.
I don't think she could get there. I'm not saying that, but this film didn't really help her
Okay,
in
so
that aspect.
I see a perfect segue right here.
Let's do it.
All right.
You didn't have to bring up that it was a segue. You could just say it.
Okay, I see. One of my favorite screenwriters and authors passed away this week, and his name was William Goldman, and I believe we have a couple of pictures
We
of
do have
him.
a few photos of
Few photos of. Here is William Goldman, who won 2 Academy Awards for screenwriting, and many of you may know the movies. The first movie was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and All the President's Men. Both movies had Robert Redford in them, and they're both great movies. He was one of my favorite. If I was to have a list of my favorite screenwriters, he would definitely be in the top 3. If not, he's like 1 or 2. But here's a picture of him older, and there's a quote there. It says, "Writing is."
Writing is finally about one thing. Why'd you make me? You didn't say there was going to be reading involved.
Yeah, read it.
Ryan has to get up to read this.
You didn't have to say I was getting up. Writing is finally about one thing: going into a room alone and doing it, putting words on paper that have never been there in quite that way before. And then we have another photo with another quote. And this one says, "Nobody knows anything. Not one person in the entire motion picture field knows for a certainty what's going to work."
Okay, and this, Nobody Knows Anything, happens to be a documentary that they are working on about William Goldman. And the documentary is actually called Nobody Knows Anything But William Goldman.
Wow.
So I'm saddened that he passed away, but he left us with many great novels and screenplays that he wrote. Mm-hmm. So the novels, one of the favorites of young people is The Princess Bride.
Yes.
Is a fave. And then a great action novel that he wrote was The Marathon Man, which was made into a movie with Dustin Hoffman.
Which I have not seen.
You've not seen, and it's
I've
an
heard of
excellent.
it.
It's an
I know
excellent.
it exists.
So he adapted both of those novels. He adapted for screenplays for movies, and he had that kind of pull. He was that guy. He also wrote the screenplay for Misery, which was a fine film.
Which is one of my favorite horror films, which we discussed when we were talking Halloween.
Yes.
And horror films. Misery came up because I love Misery. And I think his screenwriting is impeccable. And he has written a few screenwriting books that are extremely popular screenwriting books about the field. And you you own them, and you've given them to me.
Yes.
And I've read them. And Kyle has not. And he also went to the same film school as me. We had the same level of degree.
I'm also in this room, yes. But you also said All the President's Men. That's also
All the President's Men. Yes.
That's a great movie. Very timely, and it came out right around that time.
It was based on the book, of the Watergate. Yeah,
yeah.
so it came out a few years after Watergate.
It was right there. So, if you haven't seen that, definitely go look that one out.
Oh no,
one out.
Look that one out.
Look that. We're gonna put that on a T-shirt
Yeah, we are.
with your face. And we'll look that one out like
so
this.
he was a man that could write a movie, and I've quoted him in the past. I may not have said his name, but the one thing I've said about him is
I quoted him. I didn't say that.
I know I like referenced him. I referenced. So one of the things I referenced was that William Goldman said, if a movie comes out in a particular genre and it's successful, like if you come out with a Western, there will be, you can bet that within the next 2 years there will be 5 Westerns that will follow.
Yes.
And it's not saying he's not copying, it's just that, Westerns are doing good. let's come out with a new.
It's the
war-
trend.
Yeah, the trend. War movies are like that. Certain, political thrillers.
Well, you see it even nowadays when young adult novels became big and turning into movies. You got 50 to 70 young adult franchises, all like Harry Potter. And then when
Yeah.
Twilight became big, you had a bunch of things like Twilight.
a bunch of vampires.
And then you have like Fault in Our Stars and all of those young adult love stories where somebody tragically dies and they're in love and they're all kind of the same format. Those all kind of Nicholas Sparks novels. It's always a change with now superhero movies.
Yeah, superhero
Movies now. And Guardians of the Galaxy came out, so now you have all these movies trying to be like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's always the trend. One big thing hits, and there's always followers.
Yeah, let's follow. But the Western trend, we're going to cover that in another show.
Let's bring up last week,
All right.
because this works, because this happened also in the world of kaiju films, which you are very well versed in. Well, after Godzilla, you had many, many followers. Mm-hmm. And what was the most famous non-Godzilla?
Most famous non-Godzilla? Like, what do you mean?
Most famous kaiju that's not Godzilla that had a big film series.
In Japan, Gamera.
Yes, Gamera, who's not a part of Godzilla, Dad, like he said last week.
Oh.
I named off all the all these characters that I'm like, oh, I'm excited to see in the next Godzilla movie. And my dad goes, and Gamera, Gamera.
Listen,
and I'm like, if Kyle was here, he would have slapped you.
I watch these Japanese films, and I always, the Japanese Godzilla, I've watched them. I love them. I do. I went to the movies to see. But the Gamera! So I tend to yell that out whenever there's a Japanese horror film. I just tend to yell out, Gamera!
My dad's not
Gamera!
what we would call a sensitive man.
Why? I didn't mean it in a bad way.
Nothing, Dad. Just continue with
Some
your
people
thoughts.
are tougher skinned than others.
Those Godzilla movies are better than the ones we've made in America. I have to say that. I couldn't even watch the last couple of them.
Last couple, there's been one.
Well,
The one with Bryan Cranston.
they've allowed us to make two.
Yeah, but he's seen
far.
the first one, so that's why he's
The-
like the last
but even
couple.
the-
You've seen the Matthew Broderick one.
The Matthew Broderick one was
I watched
terrible.
it recently,
yeah.
and you were defending it because I was texting you, telling you I was watching it, and you were like, "No, the movie's not that bad."
The next movie is
The next one's gonna be great.
the next one is already finished.
It's
number
got
one.
Vera.
and
It's got
they're
Vera
already
Farmiga.
they're
It's
already
gonna be
filming
great.
the one for
All right.
2020.
Yeah, and that one has Alexander Skarsgård. I love Alexander Skarsgård.
And the
10 out of 10.
The Godzilla films are a fun franchise that you can watch on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
You can watch them any day.
Yeah, but
Kyle
Thanksgiving
watches
is-
them every day.
Thanksgiving, you can watch them.
No, they're very good for Thanksgiving. I have some more Thanksgiving films from the viewers.
Yes.
Write in your Thanksgiving film. We have from a couple of my friends, from my friend Raz, my friend RJ, they said Thanksgiving. Also, someone else said Thanksgiving. Brian Van Dagen, my good friend Brian. Brian also said Thanksgiving. Will Carter said Chicken Run. Catherine Lutz said not a movie, but she said The Honeymooners.
That's more of a New Year's thing for me.
I agree, because I remember watching that more on New Year's, but it's holiday.
Yeah, holiday.
But I consider that more of a New Year's thing, but I can see watching that for Thanksgiving. A lot of people said March of the Wooden Soldiers. Me and Kyle's friend and I don't know grammar. Our friend John Flynn said March of the Wooden Soldiers, and he said that they played Bill and Ted around Thanksgiving the past few years, and he's been watching Bill and Ted.
Okay.
I
Excellent
just see
Adventure
that
of
on
Bogus
all the
Journey,
time, but
yeah.
that makes sense.
And The Godfather. The
Yes,
Godfather
yes,
is a
that's
holiday
that's
film
true.
too.
They do that.
So they do
No, that's a big one. That's one I've watched a lot on Thanksgiving.
They'll
is
air
The
that on
Godfather.
TV and they'll
On
they'll
AMC
play,
they show it.
They'll play it in chronological order.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
That's hard to find. I was actually talking to someone about it today. You either can find it as the Godfather Saga or the Godfather Epic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's 2 and 1 put together, not 3. Forget about 3. That's in a fire. But it's parts of 2, then 1, and then the rest of 2.
Yes.
And it's done in chronological order. It's both films in chronological order. And it's the best way to watch it. That's how I watched it for the first time. and I highly recommend watching The Godfather that way.
It has not been released that way in DVD.
No,
yet.
otherwise
It was
I would. If
yeah.
they release it on DVD, I'm gonna buy it 3 times in case I lose one.
It hasn't been released on DVD that way, but it has been put on demand that way.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's
On
But
HBO.
out there.
sometimes they delete it from on demand when I want to watch it, and then I get mad.
Yes,
It
but
was on-
let's just say it's out there.
It was
It's,
on
no,
VHS.
it's out there. I said if you could find it.
You can get it on VHS tape. if
Kyle,
you-
Yeah, so
that's what
I-
Kyle's doing later today.
Yeah. I'm gonna hunt that down for 5 hours.
All right, and I have a copy somewhere, and I have I can make it into a DVD. I have that machine,
He's got that technology.
that technology. I have.
so does
yeah.
Kyle. Kyle's one with technology.
I-
He doesn't. He doesn't have the William
Not
Goldman
the
book,
current
but he knows
technology, none of that stuff.
No, anything
The
from
old stuff.
anything before 1999.
Yeah, pretty much.
We have a couple more. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yes.
Is the real big one. That's probably, I would say, the king of the Thanksgiving movies is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with John Candy and Steve Martin,
Yes.
which is an amazing road trip comedy if you haven't seen it.
And as a matter of fact, we have the trailer that we're going to show.
We have the trailer? Do you
we have
wanna
the
show that
trailer.
now?
Yeah, let's show.
Yeah, we have
Play-
the trailer for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yes.
And when we're going to show that right now.
Cool.
During holiday travel, some people get delirious. Some get delayed. And some get Del Griffin.
American Light and Fixture, Director of Sales, Shower Curtain Ring Division.
Neil Page got all 3.
I was on my way home to spend a nice holiday with my family. Instead, I'm in a motel bed with a stranger.
So instead of Thanksgiving with his family, he's spending 3 days with the turkey.
2 happy clams just whistling down the road.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, they're the Marconi family.
Paramount Pictures presents
Wilma!
Steve Martin,
You ever been to Hawaii?
Yeah.
You see Don Ho while you were there?
See the second show, that's the best one.
Is that right?
Yeah.
John Candy,
Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between 2 pillows. Those aren't pillows.
in a new film by John Hughes. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
See that Bears game last week? Yeah, hell of a game, hell of a game.
And we're back.
Wow, that was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
A fun movie. It
That's
really
it's
is
a great
fun,
movie. And
It's
that's
a great movie.
One of the only Thanksgiving movies. It's about It's about the time around Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And it's an amazing comedy. It's, John Hughes.
Yeah, a movie that was a breakout film for John.
For John Hughes, who, if you don't know John Hughes, he wrote Home Alone.
Breakfast Club.
He directed The Breakfast Club. Sweet 16 Candles. My favorite film of his is Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Classic.
Yeah.
Of course.
And like probably 7 or 8 Weird Science. And like 7 or 8 others I can't think of off the top of my head.
Oh yeah, a lot of
Drillbit Taylor.
a
That's
lot
actually
of
that's the
kid,
last film that he wrote.
a lot of movies for the younger generation at that time, and then he came out with this, which impressed everybody.
Yeah, and that's a film for all it skews a little bit older, but all generations. I know a 5-year-old that's gonna love watching that very.
All right, but I do have to say one thing.
Oh God.
So, because you mentioned 5-year-old, there is a scene with very foul, extremely profane language in the scene when he goes up to the woman at the desk.
Yeah.
He starts cursing at her and everything, but it's done in a very funny way. But there is a scene where Steve Martin just has had enough.
You took me to see The Mummy when I was 5. They eat a man's eyes.
I took you to see a lot of movies I regret when you were 5.
No, it's 5 when I was older. I somehow got you when I was like 9 or 10. I got you to take me to see Harold and Kumar.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
I think halfway through the movie, he's like, "What did I do?" I also got him to take me to see Undercover Brother.
Which wasn't bad. Undercover
I
Brother
can see him
was,
being okay with
was
that.
funny, but
Harold and Kumar, I can't see him being okay
no,
with it.
and well, you were like, were you 12 or 13 when we took him to see Sin City with my cousin. My cousin Maria. And then I said, you realize we're taking this.
And Maria, the fact Maria was okay with.
She's like, yeah, fine. And we went and saw Sin City. And I was like,
yeah, I was not old enough to see Sin City, and I saw Sin City. I got him taking me to see Clerks 2.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
I
yeah,
regret that. I regret that one. And
well, there's a lot of inappropriate things in Clerks 2.
Borat. And Borat, I took.
I was 13. I was close enough to being okay.
You had seen all those other movies.
I got to that point.
It's the progression.
And so, you might not consider it, but it came out in November. Some people do consider Borat a Thanksgiving film.
No, I don't.
Some people consider Borat a Thanksgiving film. Borat's a film that has not aged well in the 10 years or 12 years since it came out.
Yeah,
that film has not aged well
Really?
at all. And a lot of people, they have it turned on it, but people don't like it in the same way where Borat was like, it changed the culture and people were in love with that movie when it first came out. They're not sour on it, but people are like, yeah, it's okay. People aren't about Borat in the same way. I guess the jokes, a lot's changed.
Okay, that happens with movies sometimes.
My cousin, Melissa Kavanaugh Honorata,
yes,
has put a comment saying Uncle Benny is not allowed to bring Thomas to the movies. And my other cousin just started watching Christina, and Christina, you missed us talk about how all the inappropriate movies that him and Maria took me to see.
Maria only took you to see one.
No, she took me to see School for Scoundrels when I was like 12 years old.
Oh, but without me.
Yeah, you weren't there for that one.
Anyway,
she took me to see Unleashed with Jet Li, where Jet Li's like a slave to Bob Hoskins.
Yeah. All right, Melissa.
That's a really good. If you haven't seen Unleashed with Jet Li, Morgan Freeman, and Bob Hoskins, do yourself a favor. But Morgan Freeman plays a blind man. He's great in it. I feel like that's a movie that's not talked about a lot.
What year did it come out?
Like 2006.
I think what threw us off with taking him so young, he used to talk like an adult. He was around a lot of adults, and he talked like an adult.
Well, yeah, you took him to see The Departed, too, in 2005.
No, but The Departed, he was older than The Departed.
Well, no, that was the exact same. That was the same year at school. I was 12. My favorite film of all time, The Departed, a very heavy R-rated film I saw in theaters when I was 12 years old.
Melissa,
I didn't see any of the Saw movies until I was 7.
Melissa, I should take Thomas to see a movie because I am Uncle Buck in the flesh. I am Uncle Buck.
I mean, you're not as nice as John Candy. He likes John Candy because he's nice.
But
He's gonna like him in Spaceballs. He's gonna love it.
Oh yeah, Spaceballs.
Well, no. I said, and I'm saying this because Christina, you weren't there last week. We have our baby cousin Thomas, the TKO Strong Foundation. The cutest little baby in the world. He loves John Candy. He dressed as John Candy from The Great Outdoors for Halloween. I called dibs on getting him all the John Candy movies on Christmas. I'm getting him all of them. I'm trying to track down a plushie. I don't know. They're hard to find.
We can't find
John Candy John Candy. They don't make John Candy stuff for children. They just don't. I don't get it. But
his name is Candy.
He's getting cool runnings. It's up to you. You get to gauge. I'm not putting them on. You gauge when you put these movies on. But I'm giving you the tools.
Spaceballs is pretty good, I think.
Spaceballs, he's around the...
What do I know? I took a 12-year-old to see...
You took a 5-year-old to see The Mummy, but when I was 7, you wouldn't take me to see the Planet of the Apes remake.
Because we thought it was too adult. It was terrible.
That's more kiddie than all the other ones.
That's terrible.
The Tim Burton one. The Tim Burton
with Mark Wahlberg.
That's fine. Yeah, no.
Oh.
You didn't miss much.
No, it's a
You
terrible
saw the original
movie.
Mummy. That's fine.
All right. What?
Don't see.
Not the original Mummy.
I know, but don't see the Mummy with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, we're not gonna. No. I could go on a tirade. I'm not gonna.
No,
go
just
on
fair reminder.
And I love Boris Karloff, but I think that the Mummy with Brendan Fraser was.
Thomas is watching now. Thomas, you didn't hear that, but. You're getting some John Candy stuff for Christmas. Get excited, John Candy. You're getting a lot of John Candy stuff. Maybe I might just get you a bunch of candy and write John on it. Who knows? The whole family's watching. Tom's watching. Mariano, the Cooperstown, he said.
Hey, we got to talk.
On Thursday we'll have a discussion about Mariano.
And we got to.
And Andy Pettitte should go in too.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
We'll talk
He
about that
deserves
next
it.
week.
We're gonna have a baseball when the induction, when they announce the people going into the Hall of Fame this year. We will have a. We'll talk about that.
And we'll get Tom Honorado Sr. to come on the show.
Yeah, maybe we'll get John Santo to come on.
Yeah, but Tom can come on, and we could talk about the TKO Foundation, and we could talk baseball.
Yes.
And John Santo could come on and cry about the Mets.
Exactly. So it's the best of both worlds. He said deal. So that sounds good.
It's going to be good therapy for him.
Yeah,
All right,
it's good.
back to movies and TV shows, I guess we included to watch around Thanksgiving.
On Thanksgiving. One of the big ones that some of my friends were saying, and I know you and I both have watched on Thanksgiving, it's become like a tradition within the past few years of airing this, mostly online. But they air, and this year Netflix is actually airing the new season specifically on Thanksgiving because of this, and that's Mystery Science Theater 3000. And the new Mystery Science Theater 3000, they're doing a special format called The Gauntlet, and it's going to be like, it's the theme of they all have to watch like 8 movies in a row. So it's like a binge Mystery Science Theater.
Okay, so they're doing it with the new new
cast. So,
okay, that's the first time they're actually doing that.
Because
they
they've
used to do
always
that.
implemented the old cast.
And for the last few years, they've just been playing old episodes just on
Is it
YouTube.
the same robots? The new cast are the same robots?
Yeah, it's the same robots, new voices.
It's like what they did originally with Mystery Science Theater, where they just change out the person.
Right.
That's the subject. But they had to update it, so they did change the people who were controlling everything.
All right.
And it's supposed to be the siblings or the son and daughter of those people.
Well, you know that the original people are going to be involved.
Tell me a little bit about the story of the theme that keeps Mystery Science Theater together.
So every year, I don't remember when it began. Whatever channel they were on, whether it was Sci-Fi or it was Comedy Central, all day on Thanksgiving they would air Mystery Science Theater stuff like shorts, movies. They would do little skits that would kind of be like extensions of the show. If you've ever seen the show, it's very much
what is the show about?
The show is it's a cult classic. It's about this guy who's trapped in space and he has these robots, and all he can do is kind of just watch bad movies.
He's being tortured.
Yeah, he's
by
basically
these
being
people
tortured
to see how to break a man by showing him the worst movies ever made.
Yeah.
And it's a great way, and it's what started riffing on movies.
Mm-hmm.
And what made it riffing on movies the mainstream of watching bad movies and making fun of them. And they've taken a lot of great bad movies and made them popular by doing that. And now the guys who originally did Mystery Science Theater have their own brand now called Riff Tracks.
Yes.
And then they brought Mystery Science Theater back last year.
Last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, around that time. But I think it was last year.
I think last year it
and
came back,
they
yes.
brought it back, and it's on Netflix now. And the second season premieres Thursday. And one of the movies that they're covering is a movie you watched like 2 weeks ago.
Called Mac and Me.
Called Mac and Me, which is considered one of the worst films ever made.
And that was back to what we were saying about trying to copy the genre. That was supposed to be the E.T. an E.T. copy.
That's exactly, yep.
Yeah, no,
Mac
that's
and
exactly
Me.
what it was. Mac and Me was trying to be E.T., but it was even worse.
It was like, here's a new E.T. and Ronald McDonald.
It was a McDonald's tie-in. It was a big McDonald's
McDonald's
tie-in.
and really?
Yep,
Yeah.
McDonald's and Coca-Cola.
Oh,
They
wow.
backed the whole movie.
Well, because E.T. had the Reese's Pieces in
Yes.
it. So
So
but
they
they
had
did.
McDonald's,
So they had
Coca-Cola.
McDonald's, yeah. And so what William Goldman said is true. Now Christina Cav writes The Shining, classic holiday movie.
Did you show her The Shining when?
No. I used to watch movies she wanted. When she liked Willow. I remember she was a big
Oh,
fan
you're not
of
going to say
Willow.
her favorite movie.
What's her favorite one?
Her favorite movie's Labyrinth.
Labyrinth. Okay.
Your
And
favorite
those are good
movie's
movies.
Labyrinth.
Those are good
No, I'm
movies to
speculating.
watch on Thanksgiving.
I mean,
They
I don't
are.
recommend watching Labyrinth at any time, but sure.
Which one is Labyrinth? That's the one with,
With
David Bowie.
Yeah.
I saw that in the
With
movies.
the cod piece.
I saw that in the movies, and the girl I took turned around to me and said, I feel very bad that you spent money for us to see this movie.
I didn't say that,
She
Christina.
told me that.
That lady said
But
that.
I enjoyed it. I thought David Bowie looked great. I love the scene when they're bouncing the heads around.
Yeah, and then they have like the farting scene. And
Yeah, the fart valley or whatever. And one of the reasons I still enjoy the movie, it was directed by one of my favorite people in the comedy world, was Terry Jones from
Monty Python.
From Monty Python. So it was directed by a Monty Python guy. So a Monty Python guy trying to make a kids movie, I thought it was pretty cool. And with Jim Henson and the Muppets involved. So, you know, I could watch it again. I could.
We have another one from Tom, Scent of a Woman.
Yes, yes.
Hooah!
Because there is a scene where they go to Al Pacino's brother's house for Thanksgiving. And the kid that's supposed to take him, the kid that's supposed to watch Al Pacino, and takes him, and his brother says, "Why don't you take him somewhere else? Can't you take it?" His brother doesn't even want him there at the house. So yes, I would say Scent of a Woman is a good Thanksgiving movie. Well, I'm trying to think of other ones. All right, I have to mention this. Jessica Colazzo, who's been on the show a few times, said The Ref. And she told me, Benny, The Ref. And she wrote that a few times. Jessica, we're going to show The Ref when it gets closer to Christmas, because The Ref is actually...
It's more of a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie. It takes place on
Good
Christmas
movie.
Eve.
It's more of a Christmas film.
And some people said It's a Wonderful Life.
More of a Christmas film.
Yes.
There's a couple of people that said Christmas. Another one, Charlie Brown Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Was popular. And then this didn't come up, but I can see in the next couple of years, the Peanuts movie that came out 3 years ago becoming a Thanksgiving film, because it came out in November. But it hasn't, it's only 3 years old, so that's a more time will tell sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of the scenes I'm going to show at the end of tonight's show.
No, we're almost there.
We're almost there, but we have a couple of things I would like to, if we could get to, show. But there was a movie called Giant, and it was James Dean's...
My Giant with Billy Crystal.
No. It was, we're going to show that later. We're not going to show it now. Giant. We're going to show March of the Wooden Soldiers in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Let's show that.
In a few minutes, not
in
yet.
a few minutes. So in Giant, there is a Thanksgiving scene that we're going to show at the end where it was one of those sprawling epic movies that they don't make movies like this anymore. They didn't make them then. It's not an action movie. It takes place in Texas during the oil, when people are striking it rich with oil. Rock Hudson, Elizabeth Taylor, James
Billy
Dean.
Crystal.
Their son is played by, Liz Taylor's son is played by a very young Dennis Hopper.
Ooh, Denny Hop.
Dennis Hopper. He's not in that scene, but we're going to show it's a Thanksgiving, because a lot of movies, there aren't really any straight-out Thanksgiving movies. Mm-hmm. So there are some movies with great Thanksgiving scenes.
Like
And
Spider-Man.
Giant is one of them. We're going to show
Spider-Man.
that.
Yeah, there we go.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, a bike messenger clipped him. He got clipped by a bike messenger. That's one of the best scenes in the first Spider-Man movie, and it's a tense scene. I don't know why I didn't think of it until you said it. Good. This is why Kyle's here. This is why his boss let him get out of work early today.
Willem Dafoe knew in that moment.
Willem Dafoe
He was
knew.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's spoilers if you haven't
Yeah.
seen the 2002 Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi Spider-Man film. But the Thanksgiving
enjoy that
scene
movie. That's
is
still-
one of the best scenes.
I saw it. That movie was on over the weekend, and it's still one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. It's
I
a lot
love
of
it.
fun. You can watch it with kids, and there is that Thanksgiving scene where Willem Dafoe goes to get a piece of the turkey, and Aunt May stabs him with the fork. Like,
And he
you
starts
know.
carving the knife.
That's why he messed with her
Sharpening
later
it.
on, because he was like, you stabbed me. So now I'm going to scream at you and rip off your roof. And
And make sure you
have
say
your
your
hand
prayers.
yeah, you got to say your prayers, like eat your vitamins.
So, you have anything to add, or we'll?
Well, I don't have anything to add. I have something I want to say.
Yes.
And that's Zach. I know you're still watching. My friend Zach Johnson, great human being, great humanitarian, 5 Towns alumni. Zach, I would love to have you on the show one day if you can get out of work or you're off or it's the summertime, or there's like the vacation days. He's a teacher. So if you can get one day, I'd love to have you on the show. There's a couple other people. I'd like to try to get you and Joe Carucci on at the same time if that was possible. I don't know, but I would love to have you on the show. Charlie too, but he lives in upstate, so it's hard to say because he lives in upstate New York.
And
but
he won't tell you that?
Yeah, he's I live in Westchester. That's upstate New York, pal. Zach, I would love to have you on the show one day. We got to make it happen.
You need to give him back his copy of Tusk.
Yeah, you've had my copy of Tusk for 3 years now. And I haven't seen you in a while, but every time I see him, he goes, I should have brought Tusk. Even though it's like sometimes we'll just see each other and we won't realize we're going to see each other. And be like, I should have brought Tusk.
I hate people like that. When I have I have friends.
Zach, I love you. It's okay.
Don't loan anybody anything. Don't. They mean good. They mean well, but then, and sometimes what happens, you lend, and it's happened to me, you lend me something that I like and can't find, it becomes mine. And I forgot, oh yeah, I forgot. You don't give it back. I have a friend like that, my good friend who actually, MC Savat there, who did does the opening of the show. We did a radio show many years ago. He borrowed my Jimi Hendrix because, Essential Jimi Hendrix because it had the Star Spangled Banner. He borrowed my Ray Charles with America the Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Every time he sees me, I should have had it with me. I should have brought it. So I had to buy new copies, okay? But I still want them back. I thought, even, he wrote a screenplay and he says, I want you to be in a movie. And I says, you don't have to pay me money. Give me back, I want my CDs back, okay? And with that, we're going to show a trailer for a movie we spoke about, and this is everybody's favorite Thanksgiving movie. Favorite.
It's been called the greatest of comedy musical fantasies. A stunning fairy tale. A delight for children and a rare treat for the young at heart. Good Times Home Video presents the comic genius of Laurel and Hardy in the 1934 Hal Roach musical comedy classic, March of the Wooden Soldiers. And now, for the first time ever on home video, witness the spectacle, glamour, and grandeur of Toyland and your favorite Mother Goose characters as they come to life in beautifully colorized splendor.
What do you think of that?
March of the Wooden Soldiers is the newest release in Good Times Home Video's Platinum Series. Based on Victor Herbert's Broadway stage triumph, Babes in Toyland, this fountain of fantasy captures his stirring musical melodies to perfection.
What is the matter, little Bo Peep?
I have been careless and lost my sheep.
So turn back the pages of life's storybook and revel in this fabled adventure. It's a simple tale of the old woman, Widow Peep, who lived in a shoe. Her daughter, the shepherdess, Bo Peep, who's in love with Tom Tom, the piper's son. Of Silas Barnaby, the meanest man in Toyland, out to get them all. And, of course, Oliver Dee and Stanley Dumb, the toy maker's apprentices, who, along with their friends, save everyone from the evil clutches of Barnaby and his bogeyman. It's one hilarious event after another with the bumbling duo in the kingdom of Toyland. The Antics of Laurel and Hardy. Victor Herbert's Magical Melodies. A feature film treasure. March of the Wooden Soldiers, in color.
And we're back.
And we're back. Benny
In
TV.
color.
In color. Yeah, and that's a great, I own that DVD, by the way. That's a great DVD. My niece Melissa, she clarified that what we were talking about, the Fart Valley, I called it, was known as the Bog of Eternal Stench. So the Bog of Eternal Stench.
I know some people I can call that.
So anyway, we're getting close to wrapping up.
We're almost at the end.
We're almost at the end.
I can hear the boys playing bagpipes in the back, getting ready for the show. Laughter
Didn't
Saves
break.
Lives coming up next.
Coming up next, and
Big
Ryan
show.
might be on it. We don't know.
I don't know. I don't know nothing.
We don't know.
I don't know. I just run the show. I don't know what goes on.
Any closing? I want to end a little earlier because I always seem to end right at the.
Don Vito? What was that?
Richard Nixon.
Richard Nixon?
I am not a crook.
I am not a cook.
I am not a book. That's for damn certain.
No,
You won't have Richard M. Nixon to kick around anymore.
If he was a book, he'd be like coloring books that was a misprint.
Oh, a typo.
Yeah, it's one of those messed up ones where they prematurely colored it in and outside of the lines.
No, I think
So some kid just bought it. And
He'd be the type that you have the brush with water and you just go on there with water and it gives you the color that he
Don't
is.
give him that much credit.
Yeah, don't give me. Yeah, no.
Don't give me
You
that.
didn't live with him like I have.
Those are some Photoshop skills that I don't even have.
I said, what does stove mean? And Melissa wrote, ask Ryan. So they're writing stove on here.
It's an inside joke that I probably just
Oh,
forgot.
I know what
I
it
don't
is.
remember things.
I know what they brought up something from years ago, which is
Well, you
my
didn't have to
family
say
does
it on the show.
It's it's an out joke.
An out?
Instead of an in joke, it's an out.
I'd call them saying that. It's an outside joke now. You
I
get
can't
it?
let you out of the house. I have to get out of the house to make money for you.
You have my lavish lifestyle. Yeah, 'cause you haven't been eating my chocolate for the past.
With
Yes.
your HD TVs.
It's not
This
just
is the
mine, it's everybody's.
greatest son in the world.
Aw.
And his friend is absolutely
He had nothing good to say about Kyle right there.
Kyle is awesome.
In the garage, is that what he's...
I'm a good son to someone else.
No, Kyle is awesome. He's
Kyle's
an
dad
awesome
hates
guy. Your dad hates you?
No, his dad hates me.
Oh, he hates you?
Yeah, for like 3 years now.
Why? What did you do?
I can't talk about it on air.
Ryan trapped him in a room.
I
It's this
dropped
whole thing.
Yeah, I kind of locked him in a room by accident.
Oh, yeah, that's happened.
To be fair, I didn't know he was Kyle's dad.
Yeah, he didn't. Found out very shortly.
I found out right after.
Hey, one time I was driving for this company, and I had to fill
Oh,
in
I
for
thought you were
the-
going to talk about when Christian spoiled the Wolfman.
Oh, I still want to run him over for that one. He spoiled the Wolfman because, you know, I love the
Yeah,
original
keep the
Wolfman.
story quick. We got to wrap
All
it up.
right, we got to wrap. I forget what I was talking about now.
All right, well, that's the show.
That's the show. Hey, thank you all. Next week, we're going to talk, hopefully we're going to talk about West.
We're going to talk Westerns.
Westerns.
I got a lot of Westerns to watch.
So, and if there's any Westerns you want, just write them down.
Write them down, send them to us.
On Facebook.
You can
Benny
email it
Rizzuti.
to us. You can
Yeah.
send them to Benny Rizzuti, Ryan Rizzuti. Don't send them to Kyle because his name's not on Facebook. You're never going to find it. It's
I'm
a
also
secret.
not going to be on that show.
He's also not going to be on the show because he probably has a job. I have a job too, but they're very
yeah.
nice and they let me leave early to come here.
Thank you all for watching. We're not going to get to that clip of Giant. Just look it up.
It's
Thanksgiving
okay.
clip.
My Giant with Billy Crystal. Give it a watch. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week. Have a great night.
Have a great Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Watch the parade. Goku's going to be in it this year.
Watch football. Watch Space Jam. And watch...